Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a star, hit him with a car.
For sure, if we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun, and we'll walk
This is Lost Thoughts for episode 12 entitled Everybody Loves Hugo. This week we'll briefly discuss why Lost is like a book, be disappointed in the presentation of certain secrets, and coin a new catchphrase for people blowing up. What did I think of this episode? What was going through my mind when Desmond did what he did at the end of the episode? What did he... Who was... How did... How was... Honestly, I wasn't really impressed with this week's episode. Believe me, I enjoy watching every episode of Lost, no matter how much I'm disappointed afterwards. Every episode is like a chapter in a book, and you can't skip a chapter and expect to know what's going on later on. You cannot open up the book halfway through and expect to catch on what's happening. I can't miss an episode, a scene, a line, without having the fear that I won't know what's going on later. I love rereading books, and I will always re-watch a disappointing episode because it's vital to the story and progression. In this episode, we learned more about the connections between the Boom and Dud world, more about the type of person that Hurley is, and learned what the Whispers were. Kind of. We start out in the Boom world with a voiceover, who is obviously Dr. Pierre Chang, and learn about what Hurley has been doing with his wealth. Lifelong love affair with chicken. I love it. Notice that they mention nothing about Hurley winning the lottery. Not even a comment as to where his wealth came from. How was Hurley able to take over the Mr. Cluck's franchise? Where does his original money come from? That's an awesome dinosaur. Everybody loves Hugo, except women. I love Hurley's mom, and I'm really disappointed that this is the only scene that we see her. She's phenomenal. And she tells Hurley that he's got a date. Also, Grandpa Tito is mentioned, and the actor who plays him was credited but didn't appear in the episode. This implies that the heart condition didn't kill him as it did in the original timeline before the flight of 815. From the original timeline, can we assume that it was the numbers that cursed him into dying? Furthermore, if the numbers were truly cursed, was it a side effect of when the island was actually above water? Or were the curse of the numbers simply Jacob's pointing Hurley in the right direction during his life? Dud World. And I love the fact that Hurley still talks to Libby after all this time. Apparently Libby was not one of the people who ever came to visit him. Why not Libby? She haunted Michael a couple of times. Very sad. Alana leaves and we hear some whispers, which means that something's going down. And Michael walks in. He tells Hurley to stop, because everybody's gonna get killed. Why should Hurley trust Michael? Is that even Michael? Who is Michael working for? Jacob or the Man in Black? Am I asking too many questions? Boom World, where Hurley is on his date in the Mexican restaurant, but it appears that he's been stood up. Until Libby, of all people, walks up. She saw Hurley from across the room and recognized him. You know, she could have known him from the Mr. Cluck's ad, but at this point we're to assume that she saw him and had some glimpses of our original timeline on the island. Just like Charlie, just like Desmond, just like Daniel. Then the same old doctor from Santa Rosa walks up and informs the masses that Libby is still a patient in the psych ward. What made Libby go to the mental institute in the first place? How did she then get out and get on the plane in our original timeline? Are these questions vital, or am I just messing around with frivolous details? Dud World, and Alana has 4 sticks of dynamite. 4! But Hurley is trying to convince everyone that using the dynamite to blow up the plane is now a bad idea. It's okay, Alana's been training for this her entire life. Not to mention, she was handpicked by Jacob to serve a purpose on the island. And, holy crap, Alana just got artsed. Yeah, I said artsed. Alana's purpose is no more as we pick pieces of her off our clothes. But seriously, what the heck? I really feel gypped on Alana's storyline. I mean, we'll probably learn more about her through flashbacks and flash sideways, but still, I thought that she had a purpose on the island when she was alive. If she dies trying to get dynamite to blow up the plane, then her purpose on the island was to protect the candidates only for a few days. Meanwhile, with Flock's empire, Flock's carving something, but he doesn't know what it is yet. What significance will it have? Oh, please be a beating stick. Sawyer wants to know what they're waiting for, and Flock informs him that they're waiting for Sun, Jack, and Hurley, the other candidates. Yeah, right, like they're just gonna walk into the camp and give themselves up. Then Saeed gets back and brings Flock to the package. Desmond. We see Hurley picking up a book called Notes from Underground by a guy named Dostoevsky. Dog stuffed hamburger. Not only is that author one of the books that Ben was reading in season 2 when he was under the alias of Henry Gale, but the book is about the idea that fate is false because people will always try to do something to prove that they have free will. It's in that bag. That bag appears to be the one that Miles took off in Nikki and Paolo, the one filled with diamonds. And I'm very upset that this is the second time I've had to think about Nikki and Paolo. I thought I erased them from my memory. Now the confusing part. I'm assuming that Hurley doesn't know what the book is about, but he did see the diamonds. After seeing the diamonds, why would Hurley all of a sudden change his mind to go get more dynamite to go blow up the plane? What kind of plan could he have hatched in his mind within those few moments of seeing the diamonds? He was all against blowing up the plane, but then after seeing Michael, he's all gung-ho. Obviously, later we see his true motives, but seriously, why did the diamonds set him off? Boom World, and Hurley goes to his own restaurant to get chicken, which is awesome. And then he runs into Desmond, who we assume has to show him something. So is Desmond really just stalking everyone off of the manifest now? Or did he randomly run into Hurley? Did you hear the number 41 being called in the background at Mr. Cluck's? And after you heard the number 41, did you automatically assume that Desmond was going to be number 42 because we were right? And Desmond's trying to convince Hurley that he already knows Libby based on what she said. Dud World, where Flock unties Desmond, who apparently has nowhere to run. Does Desmond truly believe that the man in front of him is John Locke? I mean, Desmond's been acting so weird. I'm not even sure he's capable of deception. He has to show Desmond something. Creepy juxtaposition. Did I use that right? Ben believes that when the island is done with you, you're dead. Yes, that's true, but each death brings forth a series of events that brings purpose to that person's dying. I don't see a purpose in Alana's death, though. I mean, why give her a mission and then kill her off? I'm seriously upset about this. Maybe I'm just bitter because Caesar was killed off so soon. Oh, and we've made it back to the Black Rock again for yet another visit for dynamite. I mean, how much could you bring on a voyage across? Holy crap, Hurley just arts the Black Rock. Afterwards, did Hurley say he was protecting it or protecting us? I've rewatched that scene several times and I still can't tell the difference as to which one he was saying. If he said us, then it's simple. He was protecting the people around them from dying. But if Hurley said it, then that opens up a whole new can of worms. If he's protecting it, what is he protecting? The island? Something on the island? The plane? Hurley tries to explain to Miles that it was Michael who told him to blow up the ship. Michael is one of those people that come back and yell at him after they die. Miles, remember, never knew him as Michael, but as Kevin Johnson. I love Hurley's reaction to the question of how often people come back and yell at him. It happens enough. Dead people are more reliable than alive people. Boom World, and Hurley is talking to the psych doctor about Libby. Obvious reference to the island when focusing on the picture frame at the opening of this scene. Libby apparently has problems with reality, but don't we all while watching this show? Hurley donates $100,000 just to get a meeting with Libby. And even if she never finds out about it, Libby has landed the greatest guy in the world who would pay all that much just to have a short meeting with her. Libby explains that when she saw the TV commercial, all of these memories came flooding back to her. Memories from the original timeline. She also has memories of Hurley being in the Institute with her. I'm crazy. Yeah, probably. Hurley works up the courage to ask out Libby on a date, which brings back echoes of Desmond asking Penny on a date. I swear, Sawyer better meet Juliet in this alternative timeline, or else I'm gonna flip out! Dud World, and I swear to you that's a different little boy. First one had blonde hair, this one has brown hair. Despite the hair color change, the interwebs are telling me that it's the same actor playing that little boy. If that's true, then what's the significance of his hair changing color? Also, Desmond sees the little boy. How come Sawyer and Desmond saw him and Richard wasn't able to? Does this imply that Desmond is quite possibly a candidate? Hurley claims that Jacob told him they have to go talk to Flock. Richard believes that Hurley is lying and wants to still destroy the plane. I mean, it's pretty obvious to tell that Hurley's lying in this. Richard says that Jacob never tells you what to do. Interesting play on free will. Seems like almost everyone's against Hurley on this one, which contradicts the title of the episode. So Jack, Frank, and Son are with Hurley to go see Flock. Do you think that Flock had some sort of foresight knowing that they'd just walk up to him? Hurley admits to Jack that he didn't get his orders from Jacob in this one, and Jack says yeah, he knew. Furthermore, Jack has finally admitted that he cannot fix everything. I'm starting to enjoy Jack because I always love characters that have a positive progression. More whispers, and the episode takes a turn for the weird. Hurley says he might know what the whispers are. Hurley finds Michael and says that he knows that Michael is stuck on the island because of what he did. They are the ones that can't move on. Michael then points Hurley in the right direction and apologizes for killing Libby. It makes no sense that Michael is stuck on the island because when he died in season 4, Christian Shepherd came up to him and said, "You can go now." We had all hoped that knowing what the whispers were would explain why they were. That is, why are they whispering? Who else is a part of the whispers? Knowing that it's people who just can't move on opens up 10 more questions. And ultimately, leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth. Also, I got a beef about Hurley saying that he might know what the whispers were, and then basically explaining to us what the whispers were. I'm sorry, I kind of feel like that's lazy writing. No offense to the writers of this episode, Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis, but you also wrote Born to Run and What Kate Does, both Kate-centric episodes. Yeah. You also wrote 3 Minutes, The Variable, Expose, and This Place is Death. Honestly, I cannot write to save my life, but in those episodes, you had the most laid-back plot devices to further the story. Don't even get me started on Charlotte saying, "This place is death!" and me making fun of it. Well, Adam and Eddie, you did write Trisha Tanaka is Dead, Every Man for Himself, Greatest Hits, and He's Our You. So I guess you're forgiven. Especially for the Ben Sawyer conversation in Every Man for Himself. But I will never forgive you for This Place's Death. Never. Boom World, and Hurley finally gets his picnic date with Libby. He's got all different types of cheeses. Different types. Aww. It's the date they never had. They kiss, and Hurley sees flashes of the dud world. Dude. And matchmaker Desmond moves on to his next target. Make me a match, find me a fun. Dud world. And it's a well. How old is the well? Very old. The people who did it dug it by hand. Whoop-de-doo! Oh my gosh, this scene is so obvious. They weren't looking for water, they were looking for answers. Okay, getting a little more interesting. Compass needles spun, so they dig, possibly looking for electromagnetism. Flock wants to know why Desmond isn't afraid. Okay, looking for some more answers here. What's the point in being afraid, Desmond says, and Flock shoves him down a well. We kinda saw that coming. Flock gets back to base camp with the Empire, and he says that they don't have to worry about Desmond anymore. That's what they all say before the hero comes back with a vengeance. Hurley walks into camp and negotiates a ceasefire, or something, and Flock agrees. After a bunch of staring and emotional music going on in the background, Jack and Flock lock eyes. This is the first time since Locke was in Jack's hospital in one of the flash forwards that Jack has seen the body of John Locke alive. Boom World, and Desmond sits in a car and watches Locke wheelchairing himself by. Of all people, Ben knocks on the window, apparently checking to see whether or not Desmond is a pedophile. Desmond claims to be checking out the school for his son, Charlie. And then Desmond runs down Locke in his car. What's the deal with the different license plates? I really have no idea. After he's on the ground, Locke looks remarkably like the guy who fell out of an 8-story window. And like the guy who woke up on the island who hadn't walked in 4 years. And lost. I'm sorry guys, I really had no time this week to do message board chat or theory of the week. Please forgive me. Next week's episode is called The Last Recruit. If you have not seen the preview for next week, you need to check it out because it's awesome. They have an audio clip from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the words that Gene Wilder was reading when he was running through the tunnel with the people. Honestly, I was more intrigued by the preview for next week than I was this actual episode. There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. All the fires of hell are glowing. Is the grizzly reaper mowing? Yes, the danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing.